Remain at frequency 28 right, echo, echo, cleared for takeoff. 28 right, echo, cleared for takeoff, runway heading, we with you, limit 3630. Yeah, 204, 28 right, echo, echo, line up and wait. 28 right, echo, echo, line up and wait, now at 204. EC40 103, contact Chicago departure. Good morning. That was 552, uniform to left heading 250 on another current. Left heading 250, guys, 553, Tower runway 34. Runway 3494 for now, stand November short of Echo Echo, and we'll work that out. You can expect the full length for departure. November short of Echo Echo, runway 3494. Skywest 553, uniform turn left heading 220 and contact Chicago departure. Left heading 220, contact departure, Skywest 553, uniform. United 204, fighting 270, 28 right, Echo Echo, cleared for takeoff. Okay, 28 right and Echo Echo, cleared for takeoff, heading 270, United 204.
Hey, Paul.
What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Okay, man.
Long weekend.
Yes.
What you got going on?
We're supposed to be working tomorrow, but those plans have changed. My wifey's got a cousin in Nelspruit that's turning 40, so we're supposed to go out to Nelspruit for a 40th.
Driving down.
Yeah, so it looks like I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's worse places to go.
Yeah. What you up to?
I'm grafting, bro. I didn't get out of it. Yeah. But no, looking forward to the break anyway. Family's all at home, so yeah, it'll be good.
Okay, man.
Jump into the news.
Yeah, there's lots of that this week.
It's all about tariffs, John. What do you know about tariffs? What I do know is suddenly there are experts around the world on tariffs because everyone seems to now know about it and know how it's going to affect us and affect the industry, affect the local economy, the microeconomy, macroeconomy.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what it's all about. But the truth is, I think it is it's something quite complex that no one has given a lot of thought to up until now. What I've tried to do the last couple of days is to unpack it a bit just to see how it's going to affect aviation. There's a lot of articles written, but one of the good ones that came out, I don't know if you have a look, if you've seen this visualapproach.io, the site. Yeah, the Courtney Miller's the author there. He writes some good things, and they use a lot of these, these, I said to you the one time, we must make some of these charts. These awesome sort of visually appealing charts, and that's what they normally do. But he wrote a good article here. I'll go through some of the stuff here with you, see what you think, see what our listeners think. Starts off, in short, nobody is quite sure. Global tariffs went into effect, this is last week, it said yesterday, for goods imported to the United States. The tariffs originally ranged between 10 and 104% based on a calculation of the country's trade surplus with the USA. However, after a pause, all countries, excluding Canada and Mexico and China, saw a blanket 10% tariff rate for 90 days. Goes on and on. Basically, that China, it was 125%. Now, I believe it's gone to 145.
145, correct, John.
Okay. So if we go to focus now on aircraft and the overall aviation market in the new tariff economy, it'll be based on the impact of supply and demand. No surprise there. Despite the seemingly oversimplistic nature of that statement, many factors are moving in conflicting or offsetting directions. For instance, tariffs are likely to limit the ability of the aviation supply chain to continue without financial risk to various suppliers and airlines. This means the supply of new aircraft will drop, resulting in an upward pressure for the values of the existing fleet. In the current aircraft shortage, further limiting the supply chain only decreases capacity, reducing overall supply in a growing environment. However, we cannot necessarily assume the aircraft shortage will continue expanding. This is because the overall demand for aircraft is falling as well. So I'll go through this and then we can comment on it. After the 90-day pause, uncertainty continues to hang over both aviation supply chain and international demand. The precise way imports to the US will be charged and administered is unclear. For instance, an A321 XLR set to be delivered later this month to the United States could arrive with a bill from the US government of 10% or not. That bill may come as a surprise after delivery of the aircraft, resulting in up to a $7 million cash payment to the US government for each incremental delivery. The same aircraft set to deliver 90 days from now could have a $14 million payment due. The uncertainty has a very high price tag associated with it. We don't believe the US airlines will risk the potential liability of large tariffs to the US government. This appears to be resulting in a pencils down scenario on any new aircraft that could trigger tariff payments until it's known exactly how the tariffs will be calculated. Delta confirmed this during their earnings call yesterday, saying they would take no delivery of Airbus aircraft that would be subject to a tariff. That means very few, if any, new aircraft will be delivered to the US from Toulouse or Hamburg through this period. We anticipate the most impacted will be the 321 XLR, with a large portion of its now starting deliveries destined for United Airlines and American Airlines. The A330neo and 350 will also be impacted, with Delta Airlines being the only US customer for these. Various 321neos and 220 aircraft have been delivered from Hamburg, Toulouse, and Mirabel to US customers in the past, and we expect those aircraft will not be delivered until clarity on tariffs is provided. And it goes on, and it's got a sort of a longer term approach to it as well. I'm going to leave that link in the notes later on after this live. You can read it yourself and see what you think, but it lays it out quite nicely, I think, from an aviation perspective. And what we know already, and certainly from the few years doing the pod, what happens in America has a trickle-down effect through the rest of the world, normally happens there first. And what you are noticing in the States now with this is this Southwest aren't doing so well. Delta, these big airlines not taking in new aircraft. I mean, what other option if you don't want a 350 these days, what other option do you have?
Yeah, no.
There's nothing else. You're not going to hang around for a new 777. So there will be an impact. What that means for us here in Africa is also to be determined, because the supply of older aircraft normally finding their way into Africa might become a bit more valuable, and therefore might push the price tag for those up, and then they don't come into the continent. So very difficult to gauge what is going to happen, but the fact of the matter is something is going to happen, and we're just going to have to keep our eyes open. It's just like everything these days, including this. There's like no warning. It's like things happen, and then there's like the changes just take effect. I mean, big airlines like Delta canceling those orders is major. It has a major impact, and it's not like something you can forecast 6 months down the line. This happens, and they have to make big decisions. So
it's got an immense knock-on effect. I mean, only, like you say, to the supply chain, but then to the whole crew planning scenario after that. Where airlines are potentially looking at taking on hundreds or perhaps thousands of pilots at a time. Do they decide to slow that down? What does that do for the pilot career perspective on things? It's nobody's got the crystal ball on this, man.
That's for sure. It's a very difficult one to gauge, but anyway, we'll keep track of it over the coming weeks, and no doubt it's going to form a big part of the news stories up ahead. Not going to go through the rest of the stories in detail, but here's some headlines of different articles associated. China Southern Airlines has cancelled the auction of 10 Boeing 787-8 aircraft and 2 engines. The airline initially planned to sell its entire 787-8 fleet due to operational reasons. However, they've reversed this decision amid worsening US-China relations and escalating tariffs. Chinese government also announced it would block further Boeing aircraft deliveries. now China Southern has decided to keep its existing aircraft instead of selling them. Basically, if they sell those, they might not be able to get any more.
Yeah.
Flight Global headline there, no one knows. Aerospace firms scramble to understand tariff implications. And then another one there from Paddle Your Own Canoe, China orders local airlines to stop taking delivery of Boeing airplanes. So it is a major event. We don't like major events in aviation because they tend to have lasting implications.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's quite a few YouTube links going around that are breaking the whole subject down, making it simpler. Mac actually sent us a few during the course of the week.
I've been listening to Mac's
And-
ones now before the show. Yeah,
Some of them are pretty funny. There's that. Well, I think maybe just leave the links in the show notes as well to them. But you got to watch them, break it down, and I don't know. So everybody's trying to wrap their head around this, and yeah,
I think it's a big enough thing to, it would be easy to say, oh, this is not a factor. This is gonna, sort itself out. But Trump was talking about increasing these tariffs 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So they asked him if he became president, what would he do? 40 years ago on a show, he said, look, the tariff system in America, if he feels they were being hard done by, and he would change the tariffs. So why people are surprised is probably a bit silly. This has been coming. But how it affects aviation, and aviation just being so fickle to changes like this. I mean, it can sink companies, airlines, very, very quickly.
Well, you add these tariffs on to an industry that's already under pressure just with supply chain issues, because that's still a thing.
Yeah, well, it is. It's in that article there.
So
how often have we had to speak about supply chain issues? You and I were speaking about it, didn't even know what the hell it was. Now we're like experts on supply chain.
But,
and this affects it, by the way.
Yeah, no, heavily.
Yeah. So, as we said, main story for the week, tariffs, how global trade wars hit the flight deck. Some other news stories here. The FAA is testing drone detection systems in New Jersey after a troubling incident in 2024. That incident, did that happen while we were on the December break? I can't remember. Remember, there were all those drones.
Yes. Yeah.
The testing will take place in Cape May from April the 14th to the 25th. They emphasize the importance of transparency and national security. The FAA has previously tested these technologies at airports and plans to extend testing to other states later this year. Obviously, they're a major hindrance to aircraft. If you're going to hit one of those things, you're going to know all about it.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think at one stage, a lot of people were freaked out about the shapes and sizes of these things, and all the UFO spotters were.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping it was a UFO. Yeah. Right. United Airlines says it will slash domestic capacity and retire aircraft earlier than initially planned as it grapples with a macroeconomic environment that it says is impossible to predict. The warning came as United became the second of the big three U.S. airlines to release its first quarter financials. This is like I suppose, the concern that it's all sort of related to. I don't like seeing a downturn in aviation in America. I don't like, even from a story perspective. You just know that there could be trouble on the horizon. But going into it a little bit deeper, the concern mainly comes from an investment point of view. If you have a look at the moment investing in aviation, you might say, if you were going to, put a couple of billion in there, not a concern you and I have ever had. But if you were going to throw, you maybe say, look, I'm going to hold off that and I'm going to carry on investing in big tech or pharma or something like that. You're not going to risk aviation. Probably a risky stock at this stage.
Yeah, man. And the going back to tariffs just for a second as well, the outlook on the overall tourism industry, it's got that sector a bit nervous as well. you know, the increasing costs to air travel, hotel
Yeah.
accommodation, foreign exchange
Uncertainty
rates.
associated with it doesn't help. Yeah.
Have you seen what it's going to cost us now if you want to go and visit the UK for a
Oh,
for a
but
pommy visa, bro? No, you better set yourself up for like a 30 grand exercise.
really,
for the visa.
just the visa. Throw a family of 4 on top of that. That doesn't help.
Plus the airfares. No, it's bizarre, man.
Yeah.
Camping in Paris.
Just get an Nelspruit. Right. The second plane. Oh, yeah. The second plane in just a week made an interesting double diversion so that the crew could be swapped out with fresh pilots and flight attendants to avoid stranding passengers in a foreign country. The clever tactic occurred on the 13th of April when passengers boarded a Eurowings flight from the popular Egyptian holiday destination of Hurghada. That is associated to another diversion that happened. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, is this the most stupid diversion of 2025? A plane from Paris to Lisbon made an emergency landing in Porto after an iPad was found on board. The pilots declared a mayday because they could not identify the iPad's owner. Safety protocols led to the diversion, but it raised questions about whether it was an overreaction. Passengers often leave devices on planes, and most are found later without issue. The incident highlights the balance between safety and practicality in aviation. That was an expensive flipping diversion.
That would only happen in Europe.
It would only happen because the iPad would have got zicked long before the crew found it.
You know, like all those things where we say only in Africa.
Yeah.
No, it's an only in Europe. I mean, that would have definitely found it into someone's bag for sale after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, there are advantages to theft. But yeah, I mean,
I see there was a story doing the rounds this morning on Fly Africa about was it a British Airways A350 that took off out of Cape Town last night, 2 hours into the flight. It apparently returned.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why. I haven't managed to get a chance to follow up on that story, but apparently that same airplane had done a diversion on its southbound sector earlier this week. Something to do with smoke in the cockpit.
Oh, smoke in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I think
that's a reason to divert, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit different to an iPad. If the iPad was smoking,
or
was making a strange ticking sound.
Oh shit! Times are different.
Jeez. Sometimes, you know what I want to say.
Yeah,
but you need to grow a pair, you know? I mean,
exactly.
Come on. That's like one of those things where if the cabin crew comes and says, Captain, there's an iPad here that we don't know whose it is, and, you know, we're worried it could be, it's like, maybe just come and tell me that, but it's when we're a bit closer to our destination.
Yeah.
Not now.
The thing I'd be interested in is, like, is it the latest one? I just want to know. Yeah. I don't want one of those old ones. Because if it's a newer one, then, you know, maybe we keep it.
Yeah. Busiest airport in the world last year, any idea?
No, you're going to tell me.
The usual suspect is there, but it was a big battle. Hatfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, which is always there, and which I would have thought would be like JFK or something like that, and Dubai International Airport. Both claim titles as the world's busiest airport in 2024. Atlanta had the highest total passengers with over 108 million, while Dubai led in international passengers with about 92 million. Dallas-Fort Worth ranked third. Data shows an overall growth in global air traffic, with top airports seeing an 8.8% increase. Prediction that'll reach 9.9 billion this year. So yeah, Dubai is big and busy,
Yeah.
So it's right up there. Etihad takes delivery of its 6th and latest Airbus A350. New plane arrived from Toulouse. No tariffs going into Etihad there. A350-1000 is fuel efficient and popular amongst passengers. It is popular among passengers. You feel a bit like I was at Air France the other day coming back, and that nice terminal there. You're looking out 350, 350, 350, 777. That one must be going to Africa. That was our one. The banged out 777.
Skadunka.
Yeah, the Skadonk. It's actually not a Skadonk inside. It's pretty lacquer. They've redone the interiors, but I
think all the Skadunk 777s get painted in. No, never. Certain airlines colors. But I was just wondering now, how's the tariff thing going to affect the whole startup with Riyadh? Because I mean, they're going flashy on 787. So. Are they?
Well,
are they in Trump's bad books as well?
The thing is, the tariffs heavily affect. This. Trump's trying to encourage manufacturing to take place in the States. Now, that same article we're speaking about, the philosophies with most things, it doesn't really go into. You don't have to look at just aircraft. Take anything. You'll notice the effects of that in 15 years' time. You're not going to notice it tomorrow. If they were manufacturing stuff in China or there, and now it's manufactured in America, it's a very good thing for America. There's no question about that. But in the meantime, you're going to have to fork out a bit more money to buy the same product.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. So the big effect is stuff in America. And again, we have to see. I try to, narrow it down. How's it going to affect the African market? And, asking one or two people, it's only really the availability of secondhand aircraft, older gen aircraft that would have come to Africa that might not now be available because, like what's happening in China Southern, they're holding on to their 787s.
Wow.
That's basically what it is. So, we'll see. Look, I don't think you and I are going to get invited to a financial show to discuss the tariff impact on aviation.
Doubt it.
But we could. I mean, we've done the research.
Yeah. Look, I'll go if the beers are free. But that's about it.
There's no beers on a financial show.
No. Okay, shows you how much I really know about financial shows.
Here's one you'd like. If you're flying it, No, that's Delta. Oh, yeah. There you go. Auto Flight. Have you heard of them?
Negative.
They've begun building a new assembly line in Wuhan. Have you heard of that place?
Yeah, that's a jewel where the oak ate the bat.
That
started everything. So what do they do?
Make viruses. I mean, eVTOLs. This one will be demonetized. The new facility will help expand the eVTOL industry into inland cities. The project is supported by local government and will include testing, sales, and an exhibition center. Autoflight plans to conduct demo flights for various applications in the city. The expansion is part of a strategy to grow in international markets linked to China's Belt and Road Initiative. I got a mate in China at the moment. He actually posted some pictures yesterday. He's staying at like one of these, it's like a small town. You wouldn't, if I told you the name, it wouldn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
And while he's he's like doing a bit of a vlog walking down the road. And it's very clean and beautiful. And he's like saying, look how pretty this little river is, and it looks awesome. But the interesting thing, every like 20 meters this oak walked, the cameras on and just flashes there.
Yeah.
So it's just taking pictures of everyone all the time.
Uh-huh.
And it's don't know how I got onto that subject, but I mean it's different. I mean, can you imagine? I don't know. Yeah, it's just something about that. I mean, I'm like pedantic about having my VPN on my computer because I don't want people to know my passwords and this and that. Yeah, these guys know where you are all the time, where you're going, what you're spending your bucks on.
Yeah, no privacy whatsoever.
Different story.
Hectic guy.
Hectic, John.
I check we got some viewer comments here. Jakub Best is online with us. Yeah,
Oh, Yaku there.
Yeah. He
What's
says, how's the chaps? And he says, last rumor he heard was that we are starting with A320s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he says, don't quote me on that. What I do know is the 787 they have is borrowed from Oman. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
we'll see. It's been quite quiet on that side, actually.
The only reason it came to mind was I was chatting to someone yesterday that said to me that they have started applying.
Oh, really?
And I still thought, shit, that's
Yeah, well,
that's quite good,
there's options to apply.
Mm.
Yako, more importantly, how was the Grand Prix?
Yeah, you gotta stitch us in on that.
I was looking out for you in the stands there.
I saw all his Facebook posts. It looked like he had good seats and had a ripping weekend.
I'm sure.
Check Piastri, take it.
Piastri is
He's on fire.
He's on fire. My money's on Piastri.
Yeah.
I think he's got the 10. How calm is that guy for such a young guy?
Yes,
He just is. His emotions are always like the same, whether he's at the back or in the front. He's always so that is shop.
Max Verstappen's getting into as much trouble for swearing as I am.
Yeah. The difference is, Paul, when Max Verstappen gets demonetized,
Yeah.
he can still afford baked beans and bread for the weekend. When you do it, there's no beers that week for us. Nothing. The same as there was no beers for this operator. A South African helicopter crashed shortly after takeoff because a live penguin was not secured properly.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Hey?
The pilot who had agreed to it's not funny, but it is. The pilot had agreed to transport the penguin in a cardboard box, failed to assess the risks. Now, he didn't do a risk assessment before he decided to fly this thing. When the helicopter lifted off, the box slid onto the controls, causing the aircraft to roll and crash. Fortunately, no one on board, including the penguin, was injured. Investigators noted that transporting the penguin did not comply with aviation regulations. Yeah, it's in that penguin part 58. No one can find anything in the regulations anyway.
Yes.
Never mind stuff on penguins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You seen some of these charter. They've used charter aircraft like a Seneca or something to fly like lions and hyenas around. Yeah, gets done, but they obviously like knock these things out.
Yeah,
So
you hope they're
dorsing.
knocked out.
And imagine that thing wakes up and you cruising along in your Chieftain or whatever, and
jeez, yeah, it's not a places to hide in your Chieftain.
no,
Huh?
you can't practice that shit in a simulator, bro.
No, no, that's no fun.
No.
Yaku says it was awesome. Invite still stands for next year. We're gonna have to take Yaku up on that.
100%.
However, you should have seen the dust storm on Monday. If the weather was like that, Sunday it would have been an interesting race. Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, good to hear from you, Yako. Thanks again for your awesome support of the pod. Yako is a legendary supporter of our podcast. FlySafe Air are in Moorcock because I'm not going to go into that. Everyone knows the whole story with the foreign ownership, blah, blah, blah. However, they've gone and changed the council. Let's see what it says here. The airline must comply with regulations stating that 75% of voting rights must be held by South African citizens. Changes in the Department of Transport led to new members being appointed to the licensing councils. The previous councils could not finalize a sanction against FlySafe Air before their terms ended. The airline is awaiting further guidance on the situation.
Yes.
They're just being blasted.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
It's endless cuck.
It's like a bit dumb anyway. They'll get through that. That's the main news for this week, everyone. It's, heavy on the tariffs.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about.
Yeah, man, it's been a short week, yeah, because we've got the long weekend coming up. Short week next week as well.
Yeah, Monday's off.
And sports-wise, Formula One this weekend, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, it's Saudi this weekend?
Yeah.
Is it not Eastern Saudi?
I doubt it.
Definitely getting demonetized on this one. Okay. Yeah, who's your money on for Saudi?
going to be McLaren. I think.
Yeah, I think
think,
McLaren have got this in the bag.
they-
If McLaren throw this one away,
Yeah, no, then it's tickets. But no, they're doing well. So yeah, I think they've got it. No UFC this weekend.
no UFC this weekend. There's a lot of sort of changes in that have sort of come into effect after, not changes to the rules, but like there's a bit of a mix up now because for Volk 1, so the older guy I told you in the big, that's awesome. I was supporting him. He's the old guy, he's 36, which kind of makes me feel a bit on the weathered side of things. And Paddy Pimblett won. Paddy Pimblett's going to be, he's a bit like Conor McGregor. He's just, he draws the crowd and he absolutely destroyed his opponent. So yeah, I've been getting into my jits again. I had a break, obviously, being overseas and that. Not that easy to get back into it. We spoke to Moritz Kutzer early in the week about getting out of your comfort zone, how important that is.
Yeah.
And man, that is my getting out of a comfort zone, particularly now going into Joburg winter. We're expecting some cold weather, particularly over the next few days. It's not the easiest thing in the world to throw the gi on and then go and ask another oak to strangle you for an hour. It's not Ayoba.
No.
So now I'm gonna try and stick to it, and I'm gonna push for a blue belt this year, man.
Cool, man.
That's my aim there. But if you haven't seen that episode with Moritz, go check it out. It was quite an uplifting episode, and obviously being on the other side of the mic, it was nice to hear what he had to say, and I actually felt like a bit of motivation afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was nice to chat to an old colleague there. Next week, we're definitely going to have someone on next week. We're supposed to have Jonathan Fickling on today to chat about some agricultural flying. Looking forward to that. Jono's a good colleague of both of ours. Known him for many years. He flew at Executive Aerospace as well. Hell of a good oak. He's now on the agricultural side flying and got some stories there. We're going to have him on. And I'm going to get Chanel on from Seme as well. And looking forward to that. And we're going to keep pushing out episodes.
Yeah, 100%, man. Looking forward to it.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Take it easy.
Thanks for supporting the show. And goodbye for now.
Pilots approaching runway 26 left. All vector to the Parrock, Indiana's landing runway 26.